In this video, we're going to see how to make changes in the color even after taking out the render. What's going on, fellas? I'm Geo and this is Geo Creations. You can find me on Instagram as GeoJam, let's jump right into the video. Before getting into the topic, consider joining this small community by subscribing to the channel for new architecture content every Wednesdays. If you're stuck in any situation where you've spent hours taking out an amazing render and all of a sudden if you want to change the color in it, don't worry, you are in the right place. There are many ways to change materials in Photoshop. Here's the list of them. You can either use the blending mode or hue saturation adjustment layer or selective color adjustment layer, or my favorite, using Adobe Camera Raw. Okay, let's take this render for instance. Let's start with the first method, changing colors using blending modes. Depending on the render engine you use, you will get some options to take out some additional output. In this case, I'm using Lumion. Here you can select the material ID so that you can have object with individual color coding depending on the material. Now put it on top of the render and let's say we need to change the color of this material. To do that, go to Select, Color Range, and now select the respective color of your material and increase the fuzziness. Usually the sweet spot is around 100. Now hit OK. Turn off the material ID layer. Now create a new layer and paint it with the color you want using the paint bucket tool. By any chance you don't have the material ID, select the material you want using pen tool, quick selection tool, or a magic wand and change the color manually. Now the most important part is changing the blend mode. Keep this layer selected and change the blend mode to color. By that, you can change any material to any color without sacrificing realism. You can also adjust the brightness and contrast of the color using levels. With the color layer selected, press Ctrl+L. Now we can move this slider to increase or decrease the contrast and this slider is to increase or decrease the lightness of the color. You can also adjust the hue saturation by pressing Ctrl+U. And for your note, this method won't work on neutral colors. And that's our next method, Hue Saturation Method. You can either convert your image into a small object, use the same Ctrl+U if you want to apply effects into a single layer. But if you want to use it for a collective layer, you can better use the Hue Saturation Adjustment layer. Make the layers you want to take effect in a single group. Make an adjustment layer above it and make it as a clipping mask by pressing Ctrl+Alt+G. Now you can play with the hue to mess around with the color, or you can check this colorize box to give it a precise color with respect to this slider. You can also play with the saturation and the lightness slider to get more accurate results. Now our next method, using selective color adjustment layer. What this basically does is, it can change the values of individual color channels. For instance, let's take red. Now in this red channel, we can change the value of the basic colors, aka CYMK. If I increase the value of cyan, here the cyan in this red channel increases. If I decrease, it will end up getting more red because red is the opposite of cyan. And you can see there is no blue in this image, so whatever change you make inside the blue channel is ineffective. And last but not least, let's see how to manipulate colors using the color mixer of Adobe Camera Raw. This is basically a combination of hue saturation adjustment layer and selective color adjustment layer. Okay, let's do this. First, make a stamp visible layer by pressing Ctrl+Alt+Shift+E. Make it into a small object. Now press Ctrl+Shift+A while selecting the stamp visible layer. Now Adobe Camera Raw opens. Let's go to color mixer. Here you can see hue, saturation and luminance for every color separately. This one gives you a lot of flexibility. You can check out this video for more insights on editing your render inside Adobe Camera Raw. Most of the time you don't need to mask anything. Let me change the green for instance. This is what I usually do to greens in pretty much all of my renders. I reduce its intensity and made it darker. First I'll reduce the saturation of the greens and yellows and then reduce its luminosity and sometimes I change the hue of yellow more towards the green. I do this to reduce focus on background, thereby bringing the focus to the subject. Now it's your turn to mess around. I'm sure you might have got some valuable information. If so, share this video with your friends, and I'm also sure you may have some questions or suggestions to discuss about. Feel free to leave that in the comment. And most importantly, subscribe to the channel so that you can be a part of this community. Signing off for now, catch you guys in the next video. See ya.